LoreWarrior Aerotech. Leopard CV class dropship. The Leopard CV class is the most common aerospace fighter transport of the Successor States era. Although its appearance is much different from its mech-carrying sister ship, the two have near identical combat performance characteristics. The Leopard CV is designed to carry up to 6 fully equipped aerospace fighters. The Leopard CV has a more aircraft-like appearance than the mech-carrying Leopard because technology had increased when the CV was designed. The Leopard's crystal steel armour could only be produced as flat plates, giving the earlier dropship a more boxy appearance. The CV, on the other hand, was designed and constructed using curved armour plating, giving the hull a more rounded shape. The CV is distinguished by the large wing attached to the tail section. And though this tail structure provides good atmospheric flight stability, it's also the dropship's critical weakness. A solid hit against the long, thin tail can disable the vessel's atmospheric flying capability. Designers did attempt to protect this weak spot by shifting some of the armour, but the added weight increased the strain on the tail structure and make the rest of the hull too vulnerable to enemy fire. Another special feature of the CV is that it's the only ship still in existence that mounts the maneuver drive below the overhanging tail section. By placing the drives under the large wing section, the ship creates much less of a signature on infrared scanners. To gain the full benefit of this design feature, however, the ship's topside must be turned toward the enemy. The CV is one of the few aerodynes not equipped with a separate transit drive, which means the vessel's internal gravity is oriented differently when on the planet's surface than when in transit. This is generally not a problem, because the ship seldom enters the atmosphere except to recover an occasional down fighter. The interior is designed almost exclusively for spaceflight, oriented so that up is toward the nose. Aboard the CV, each crew member has a separate room located along a common shaft running the length of the dropship near the bottom of the hull. The rooms are tiny and provide little space for storing personal possessions. This helps the ship maintain a high degree of readiness when on the ground. There are fewer items for a crew member to secure before liftoff. To make up for the lack of personal space, the ship offers the crew a roomy lounge and separate exercise facility. When off duty, crew members are free to spend their time reading, playing games, watching reruns of the RFL-3N, or working out in the exercise room. Because the ship isn't designed to operate independently, it carries only a small supply of repair stores, and its limited medical facilities provide only minor care for injury and illness. Even with limited supply or repair parts, the ship is known for its high reliability and ease of maintenance. The CV often operates in moderate to large operations, and rarely functions on its own. In most combat missions, it's deployed well forward in the main body of ships, where it can support its own fighter groups with heavy weaponry against enemy fighters and dropships. Other dropships designed for space combat usually help it hold any enemy vessels and fighters away from the main body of the operation force. If the group is successful enough, it then penetrates the enemy forces and disables them, or at least keeps them busy, while the main force performs its mission. So yes, the other Leopard, largely ignored in any gaming space, but at least on PC and the such, which is a shame because it is a very distinctly unique looking Leopard. As it says, this is an aerodyne. Its tonnage is 1,720 with a 70.2 meter length, 19.8 meter height, and 53 meter width. It has a crew of 9 with 6 aerospace pilots, with a total fighter complement of 6. It's armed with 2 PPCs, 3 LRM-20s, 5 large lasers, 7 medium lasers, and 4 ton of ammunition. Its drive system is the Starleague V84 and was first produced in 2581. Considered a rare frequency of sighting, but that doesn't really marry up with the writing, let's face it. And I imagine Leopard CVs are probably a lot more common. It has a thrust of 4 and overthrust of 6, with a structural integrity of 7. Well, that means for anyone who plays Aerotech regular enough. Let's see, it has 64 plus 16 heat sinks, and has obviously different fighter bay doors and the such, but its armour is pretty decent. It has 100 on the nose, 90 on the wings, 140 on the fuselage, and 60 on the engines. The weapons are then located with the nose section having 2 PPCs, an LRM-20 and 3 medium lasers. The wings have an LRM-20, 2 large and a medium each, and the aft section has a large and 2 medium lasers. Fire factors nose 5, wings 3, aft is 2. one of those workhorse ships, really. Definitely something that's very commonly seen, I imagine, in a lot of planetary raid operations, invasions, that kind of thing. You would have seen this thing probably in very large numbers during the Fourth Succession War, for instance, and probably most operations after that anyway. The CV is probably a vital force of any aerospace asset or engagement with enemy sort of... God, my brain will work in a minute. With any enemy invaders as well as defenders. These things probably stay in patrol as well in very heavily populated systems or ones with high traffic of, obviously trade, that kind of thing, I imagine. That these are probably part of patrol groups, usually with a probably supporting dropship that they can come and go to for supplies, minor repairs, that kind of thing. Yeah, I could definitely see these things being used quite heavily. Probably also quite popular with mercenary outfits as well, since there are plenty of mercenary companies that are aerospace based. So a company that uses a couple of these for its fighter groups makes sense as well. And probably not a bad purchase for most merc companies in general. Just being able to have the ability to have aerospace support is always a big plus. So yeah, having a Leopard CV is probably not a bad purchase, even a used one or one that just needs a bit of care and attention just to get it up and running again. Versatile craft, and it's an intelligent use within universe of basically using existing chassis and obviously modifying it so it can carry fighters instead of mechs. And probably complements the Leopard quite nicely as well during operations for obviously ground support and being able to make that initial screen of fighters, essentially, like combat aircraft. So yeah, the Leopard CV. We'll wrap up there. There's not a hell of a lot to write about that one. It's just a good little ship. No doubt, it's one that gets revisited numerous times throughout the writing. Probably gets numerous upgrades, different weapon systems, and hell, maybe even a couple of the variants itself as it goes on. Sure, many of you are probably already aware of that. Obviously, it's been around for a long time as the old Leopard CV. So, well, this was the original write-up for it in the book Dropships and Jump Ships. So, yeah. Otherwise, have a good one all. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you next time. And, bye-bye.